At 80 years old, the gravel-voiced cowboy still rides on, grinding through life and career like there's no finish line. Sam Elliott has never slowed down. In fact, his career truly exploded after 70, earning him long overdue recognition and even his first major award at 78. But behind the silver screen legend and iconic mustache lies a life scarred by heartbreak. His father died believing Sam would never make it. His own daughter once turned on the woman he loved most. And his personal life? A battlefield no Hollywood script could ever prepare him for. Sam Elliott, the man known for playing unshakable heroes, has spent decades hiding the real pain behind that steely gaze. Pain that never truly left, even when the cameras stopped rolling. This is the untold story of strength, loss, redemption, and the heavy cost of resilience. This is the real Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott's roots run deep in the rugged soil of the American West. His mother, Glenn, was a state diving champion who later became a dedicated schoolteacher. His father, Henry, worked for the Department of the Interior, tracking and managing dangerous wildlife. Hollywood couldn't have been further from their world. They were proud, tough, outdoorsy people who valued hard work over fame. Sam grew up in the modest neighborhood of Hollywood Park, where his father nurtured begonias in a backyard greenhouse. Life was simple but rich with adventure. They went to the state fair every year, and young Sam sang in the church choir before he even understood the meaning of the hymns. In the golden light of the 1950s, Sam lived the kind of boyhood that now feels almost mythical. He'd pedal his bike from William Land Park to the banks of the Sacramento River, stirring up harmless trouble and racing the sunset home. Thanks to his father's job, he spent weekends in the Sierra Nevada, fishing icy streams, hiking rugged trails near Wentworth Springs, and breathing in the wild freedom of the Rubicon River. But everything changed around the age of 9. One ordinary Saturday, watching sci-fi and Western films with his sister, Sam blurted out a dream that would shape the rest of his life. "I want to be an actor." His father, unimpressed and unconvinced, shot back with a line that burned itself into Sam's memory. "You've got a snowball's chance in hell." That comment stuck with Sam for a long time, and it caused a quiet fight between them. But Sam didn't give up acting. He did school shows and even played Big Jewel in Guys and Dolls in high school. A local daily said he did a great job and suggested he turn pro. He was fired up after that little push. Even though he knew he had no chance, he was going to try anyway. Then bad things happened. Sam's dad died of a heart attack in 1962, not long after he finished from high school. They never made peace. His dad never got to see his success, and that pain stayed with me. Sam told me, "It hurts me to discuss it," but he didn't let it bring him down. Instead, it motivated him. He quit college right after the funeral, but he didn't lose sight of his goals. He put all of his energy into playing. His father's worries pushed him to do better. He thought of that snowball quote every time he was turned down. Sam became a load master in the California Air National Guard in 1966, where he was responsible for military planes. He did it for 6 years, even though it was hard work. He worked with planes during the day. He learned about planning and took acting classes at night. He worked 12-hour shifts and still made it to practices. This mix of hard work and drive made him unique. He felt guilty about fighting even though he never did it. That guilt made the military parts he later played more complicated, especially in We Were Soldiers. In 1967, Sam moved to Los Angeles with only $100 and lived out of his car. In his first year, he was turned down 87 times by casting agents who didn't know what to make of a 6 feet 2 inches guy who sounded like a cowboy. Preacher. He worked in construction for $125 an hour and wore dirty boots to test drives. His first job was as an extra in the movie Way West, which paid $50. He only had one day on set with no lines, but in 1968 he got a break. He had 3 lines in a courtroom show called Judd for the Defense, directed by Leo Penn. Everything changed after those 3 lines. The makers changed the scene so that his voice would be in it. The deep baritone voice that had been a problem before began to make way. They would ensure that voice for years to come. $1 million. Those early parts didn't pay very well. He only made $3,800 in 1968, which is about $33,000 today, but he was making a name for himself. He stood out because of his look, voice, and personality. In order to get stronger for the way west, he had to put on 15 pounds. Sam got up every day at 5 a.m. To do weights. He even cut his voice by 12 hertz when he tried out for Gunsmoke to get the part. He was called Walking Testosterone and John Wayne's Ghost in old calling cards. Still, people didn't believe him. One producer made fun of his time in the service by saying things about playing a soldier. This made him almost want to quit, but it also made him more determined. He said he wouldn't play a soldier or cowboy without giving it his all. For him, it wasn't just acting, it was personal. It's crazy to think that Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross, who would become his wife, was in the same movie, but they never met. In the 1969 movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Elliott played an unnamed card player in the first scene while Robert Redford showed off his gun skills. At the same time, Ross played one of the main parts. Their paths never crossed, even though they were both in the same movie. They wouldn't meet again until 1978, almost a decade later, when they both acted in The Legacy, a scary thriller filmed in London. People didn't expect his early success to be like that. He wasn't always the mustachioed cowboy. In fact, Elliott's first lead part was in a scary movie about frogs called Frogs, which came out in 1972. In it, he played a wildlife photographer who gets stuck on an island where nature turns against people. On March 23, the movie came out in Florida. In its first 17 days, it made $458,392 from just 38 screens. Not bad for an eco-horror movie with a small budget. Critics weren't nice. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 26% rating. One reviewer gave it a 51, but Elliott stood out. One article even made fun of the. Even though frogs didn't kill anyone, they still praised Elliott's cool, grounded performance. For some reason, the movie never went away. It was shown on MTV's Svaney as late as 2022. Not bad for a movie about a killer animal, but Elliott didn't become famous right away. One TV show at a time helped him slowly rise. He was an extra in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969. He got a part on Judd for the Defense. A string of roles in westerns like Lancer, where he played more than one person, led to his regular role. Part as Doug Robert in Mission Impossible from 1970 to 1971. In 1972, he was in Gunsmoke and did beer ads as a cowboy for Full Staff. Slowly, he stopped being seen as a star and was seen as someone who fit on TV. In 1975, he got his big break on TV with the historical film I Will Fight No More Forever, which was about the Nez Perce tribe. His performance in that movie helped him get a lead part in the next years when he was in Once Upon a Time with Amy Irving and Melanie Griffith. His picture began to take shape piece by piece. And it wasn't just the playing. He stood out because of the way he looked. Tall and skinny, with a face that looked like it belonged on the wild frontier. He was 6 feet 2 inches tall, skinny, and strong. He already looked like a standard cowboy. Agents of casting took notice. His thick beard made him stand out, but people already knew he looked the part. His voice was another hidden tool. Deep, slow, and smooth, it made all of his parts feel important. By the middle of the 1970s, Elliott wasn't just an actor, he was a type of poster child for the old American West. In 1976, he played lifeguard. This was the part that made people really know him. He played beach lifeguard Rick Carlson, who was 32 years old and didn't want to turn down a more exciting job. The movie made $5.4 million at the box office even though it only cost $900,000. We won big. The fact that Elliott had played the part before made it even more real. His parents were lifeguards, and so was he. This gave his act more truth. The movie didn't come out until the following year because Paramount waited too long to release it. Turned down all TV offers while he waited for Lifeguard to become his big break in movies. Critics were hoping for a beach party movie but got something darker instead. He came back to his quiet, thoughtful personality in later works like Roadhouse and The Big Lebowski. Around this time, Katharine Ross came back into his life by chance. They played major roles in The Legacy as lovers. The sparks on screen turned into love in real life. Ross was married when they met, but Elliott was 34 years old and had never been married. He once joked that he was only a. She was after the film's photographer in The Shadow on the Wall, but now things were different. Ross got a split from her husband in 1979, and 5 years later she married Elliott. They had a daughter named Cleo Rose. In her 4 earlier marriages, all 4 ended in less than 5 years. This one lasted. In fact, it's still going strong after more than 40 years. Elliott fully accepted the Western world on TV as the 1980s began. In 1979, he worked with Tom Selleck on The Sacketts, a miniseries based on a book by Louis L'Amour in which he played Tel Sackett, the oldest brother of 3 brothers who are trying to start over after the Civil War. The movie was shot in Colorado, Arizona, and California, and fans of the type of movie loved it. In 1982, Elliott and Selleck worked together again on Shadow Riders, which was another Leor remake. Elliott played Dal Traven this time, a former Confederate soldier whose family has been taken and he is trying to save them. Ross played a part, and it was the first time she and Sam Elliott had worked together since they fell in love. These westerns helped Elliott become more like the cowboy image he had fought in the past. But with deep Texas roots, even a family member fought at the Alamo. It looked like it would work well. Afterwards, in the 1983 movie The Yellow Rose, Elliott played Chance McKenzie, the rich rancher's child who wasn't his. On a big stage, it was a brave part. The show got a lot of attention at first. 16.1 million people watched the premiere, but those numbers quickly dropped. It ended up ranking 90th overall, and after only 22 episodes, NBC canceled it. It left a mark, though. John Lee and Lane Brody's version of the theme song made it to #1 on Billboard's country chart. The show had. NBC showed the whole show again in 1990 because it had so many fans. For Elliott, the part was another reminder of how strong he was on TV. People knew who he was even if the show didn't last. It wasn't meant for Sam Elliott to try out for Mask. In early 1985, he was in Hawaii on his honeymoon with Katharine Ross. When the call came to test for the movie, he turned it down because he wanted to enjoy his trip, but Ross had other plans. Behind his back, she called his agent and said, "I'll get him there." That one move made a difference. Everything. Elliott flew back, took the screen test, and got the part of Gar, a biker with a soft heart. He was Cher's character's loyal boyfriend and a father figure to a teenage girl with scars. Gar wasn't a cowboy or a soldier, he was someone deeper. Mask showed Elliott could be sensitive, hurt, and loving without losing his edge, which caught the attention of critics. On May 1, 1984, Sam married Katharine Ross. It was her 5th marriage and his first. It was the beginning of a new era in both his work and his personal life. They had met before. They first met on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969, but it was only for a short time. 9 years later, while shooting The Legacy, they met again. This time it worked. Their daughter Cleo was born on September 17, 1984, just a few months after they got married. Then Mar came out, and Elliott had to do both diaper duty and movie parts. The man who had made a name for himself by being tough was learning what it meant to take care of a family. They'd been married for more than 40 years now. It changed again for him in the late 1980s. From 1987 to 1989, Elliott did a lot of things. Part's Fatal Beauty was the first movie he was in. It stars Whoopi Goldberg. It was rough and fast, and Elliott proved he could handle crime stories. On top of that, he played a drug cop in the 1988 drama Shakedown, which starred Peter Weller. Roger Ebert said Elliott was strong, shaky, but persuasive. The movie made $6 million and made $10 million. $1 million not a huge hit, but enough to keep things going. The next one was Roadhouse in 1989. It was loud, angry, and full of attitude. Patrick Swayze was the star, but Elliott stuck to his guns. It made $61.6 million around the world on a $15 million budget. People loved him because of his long hair, deep voice, and "don't mess with me" attitude. In the early 1990s, Elliott went back to TV, but this time he was going for awards. He co-wrote and acted in the 1991 Western Connor, which was based on a book by Louis L'Amour. It wasn't just another cowboy story. Elliott wrote the story, put together the project, and performed with his wife. That personal investment paid off. He was nominated for a Golden Globe, and the movie won a Bronze Wrangler Award for telling a true Western story. In 1995, after 4 years, he played Wild Bill Hickok in Buffalo Girls. There was a lot of talent in the group. Angelica Houston. It was great how Melanie Griffith and Elliott gave his part more depth. 10 Emmys were given to the miniseries, and Elliott got his first nomination for Best Supporting Character. He proved he could play the lead in movies and TV shows. He became the Smokey Bear's voice. They were meant to be together because they were both born on August 9, 1944. He also took over the well-known Beef. Robert Mitchum's place was filled by "What's for Dinner" ads. After that, he did voiceovers for Coors, Ram trucks, and even movies. Kids knew him from Barnyard, where he sang "I Won't Back Down" and played Ben the Cow. He didn't need to be there that day. His voice had so much power, weight, and soul. He stopped writing westerns in 2000. On April 9, he was in Fail Safe, a live black-and-white war movie. George Clooney and Harvey Keitel were in the group, and Walter Cronkite opened the show. Elliott gave a serious and tense performance as Congressman Rasco. The same year, he was in The Contender, a movie about the first female vice president of the United States. Elliott played the president's chief of staff. Job and family. While dealing with Bruce Banner in a cool, serious way. He didn't even read the script because he was so excited to work with director Ang Lee and believe in the project. His gruff, deep voice was great for the part. He growls, "I'm the guy who threw away your father, and I'll do the same to you." That wasn't just any line. It seemed like a real danger. After 4 years, in 2007, he went back to comic books with the $166 million film Ghost Rider. $8 million, and was nominated for 6 Oscars. But he had a setback that same year. Did you hear about the Morgans? It looked good on paper. Hugh Grant, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Sam Elliott as the lead cowboy husband were in it. But it came out the same weekend as Avatar and had a hard time. It only made $6.6 million in its first weekend and barely made $85. 2 million copies around the world, even though it cost $58 million to make. People in the US didn't really give it a chance. Elliott gave a performance that was emotional, vulnerable, and full of hope. Later that same year, he did voice work for a monster. He did the role of Butch, a T-Rex with a cowboy attitude, in Pixar's The Good Dinosaur. The kids might not have known him from Tombstone or Roadhouse, but they knew that sound. Elliott said in comments that the movie made him think of old westerns. He made it clear that the place was as important as the people. That's what made the part seem right. That wasn't Sam. Sam Elliott had to wait a long time for his chance. He finally got his first Oscar nod in 2018, when he was 74 years old. He got this award for his role as Bobby Maine in A Star Is Born, which was the older brother and manager of Bradley Cooper's character. His voice stayed deep and calm, but this time he showed a secret pain. Critics praised how real he was. The National Board of Review gave him an award, and almost every major talent award show nominated him that year. But things haven't always gone well in Sam Elliott's life. His daughter Cleo Rose Elliott beat up her mother Catherine Ross on March 2, 2011. This was a very bad event. At first, there was a fight. After that, Cleo told her mom, "I want to kill you." She kicked in a cabinet, severed the telephone line with scissors and injured Ross 6 times in the arm. At that point Ross became 71 years old. She went to courtroom alone and obtained a restraining order. Regularly signs and symptoms of restoration started to floor. In June 2023 Cleo shared an unprecedented image on Instagram, just a regular timeout. It wasn't substantial, however it felt like a move in the direction of reconciliation. The maximum large indicator of healing happened in 2018. When Cleo attended the AAR is Born Most Suitable together with her mother and father. They posed together with smiles. This conveyed greater than any press launch ever should. On Christmas Day 2022 she posted every other image working on a puzzle together with her mom. It became trustworthy, serene and complete of significance when they married. It marked Ross' 5th marriage but Sam's first. Their daughter became born simply 4 months later. Rapidly after their wedding ceremony they have been honeymooning in Hawaii when Elliott acquired a call he had a danger to audition for Mask alongside Cher. Ross shortened their honeymoon, so he ought to return for the audition. That function transformed his life. She always supported him even at some stage in the hard years. Sam Elliott's narrative embodies patience, humility and quiet power, from years of being solid as the stoic cowboy to ultimately receiving the lengthy past due popularity. Past due in lifestyles. He has verified that greatness does not adhere to a selected timeline. His personal lifestyles has encountered painful episodes, but even in those times there are symptoms of healing, love, and resilience throughout the whole lot. Sam has remained grounded, gravel-voiced, honest and dedicated to his craft. His journey serves as a reminder that actual individual is advanced through the years, shaped by way of adversity and perseverance. At 80 he maintains to demonstrate the profound effect of a lifetime of revel in